Hello, everyone. Charles Watts here. Welcome back to Inside Arsenal. It is Monday, the start of another week. I hope you're having a very good start to that week, wherever you're watching or listening to this around the world. Plenty of action going on a little bit later on today at the Euros. Lots of Arsenal interest as well. We will discuss that a little bit later on in today's show. We'll look back at yesterday's games, especially the England match. Bukayo Saka and Declan Rice playing starring roles as England got their Euro 2024 campaign off to a winning start against Serbia. So, of course, we'll talk about that. We've got lots of questions and comments from you guys as well. And I wanted to start the show sort of focusing a little bit on the Arsenal midfield and the decision. There's probably going to be a pretty important decision in terms of what Arsenal do and who they really try and pinpoint when it comes to improving that midfield going into next season. Is it going to be a number 6 or is it going to be a number 8? A couple of you have got in touch talking about that, and I thought I'd turn that into quite a big talking point at the start of the show because I think it's a really interesting thing. But before we get onto that, just to now announce, I've been in touch with you all about the shirt competition who had got through to the final 20. The final 10 have now been selected by a random name generator on that I've used, and I've contacted you all, and you've all got back to me, so I can now announce the 10 winners of the shirt competition that I've held to celebrate making it to 100,000 subscribers on this channel. So here are the 10 winners of the shirts now. Kyle Joyce, John Scarrett, Matthew Lee, Munash Franzi, Dan Baker, Andrew Nordstrom, Corey Bellany, Ryan Campbell, Zachary Roberts, and Singshon Lee. So congratulations to all of you. I have been in touch. You sent me your addresses. You sent me your shirt sizes. I will now get those shirts ordered and I will get them sent out to you wherever you are around the world. So we're going to have shirts going to, obviously, a few in England. We're going to South Africa, America, Ireland, South Korea, South Africa again. So all around the world, which shows a great reach of this channel as well, which I love the fact that so many people from all around the world is watching it. These shirts are going all around the world to you. And I hope they will arrive. I don't know how long they're going to take to arrive, given where they're being posted to. But look, I hope you get them. I hope you enjoy them. And congratulations once again. And thank you for entering the competition. And thank you for the support on this channel, because that's what this was all about. Anyway, just giving something back to you guys, because you're the people that make this channel a success. If it wasn't for you, I'd just be sitting here rambling to myself, which I tend to do anyway, but it wouldn't be much fun, would it? So thank you for all the support, and that congratulations again to all the winners. Now, let's talk about this midfield decision, because this is quite interesting. Obviously, we were talking a lot yesterday about Amadou Onana and the links with Onana. I've given my thoughts on, what I felt about, should Arsenal move for Onana? Would that be enough? And I wasn't sure. I felt like they'd have to sign another midfielder if they were signing someone like Onana at his age and the sort of inconsistent levels we've seen of his performance at times. And lots of response to that, which we'll talk about a little bit later on in the show. But these were interesting points, I think, from a couple of people. Finsbury Phil and Shitney 1977. He said, look, question. In my opinion, we need a left 8 more than a 6. With Rice being the best in the world, he'd excel anywhere he plays. But nowhere in the world will we be able to buy a better 6 than him. But you might be able to get a better left 8. If we go all out for a left 8 like Wirtz, my favourites, or Musiala, Eze, I think we could be unstoppable. Rice, Wirtz, Odegaard, Saka, Havertz, to be determined, I presume, is that. I think the ceiling would be raised a whole lot more if we brought in an inferior 6 with Rice. I think the ceiling would be raised a whole lot more than if we brought an inferior 6 with Rice. Yes, I understand what you're saying. And it got me thinking, and Finsbury Phil as well says, look, I hope we don't focus solely on a 6/8. A goal-scoring left 8 who can also play wide is a real gap that we have. And it got me thinking about it. And I thought that what Stintney 1977 said there was a really sort of interesting point, that because I really like Rice playing in the left 8, and I've kind of pushed for Rice next season playing in that left 8 role, and Arsenal signing a 6 and focusing more on signing a 6 to really sort of immediately raise the ceiling of this team and take them onto another level. But then I thought this was a really interesting point that's got me sort of on the fence almost about my opinion, because I think you're right. I think Rice is so good at 6. I mean, he's so good anywhere, which is why I don't mind him playing at 8 or 6, but he's so good at 6. And can Arsenal get a better 6 than Rice? And that's a really interesting question. I'm not sure you can say yes. But when you say can they get a better left eight than Rice? Then I think you can definitely say probably yes, because he is playing I think he's doing it really well, but it's clearly not his out and out position, and he's adjusting to it and he's learning to it. I think he'll get better with it next year, but I think there's definitely an argument that Arsenal can go out and buy a better left eight than Rice this summer. But can they get a better number 6? I'm not sure they can. And so I think that your point has absolutely sort of changed my thinking on it completely since 1977. So thank you very much for that. So I'd love to get your thoughts on this as well. Do you think this is right? And do you think a 6 is more important than a 8? Or do you think it's the other way around? And when you look at the makeup of Arsenal's team next season, if they do put Rice back to 6, which is realistic, but of course you've still got Rice, Thomas Partey and Jorginho who can play in that position. Of course, we have no, Jorginho staying, and we don't know about Thomas Partey yet. That'll all sort of move forward in the next couple of months or so as we go through the summer. But if you do move Rice back to 6, then there's so many options out there that you could go and try and push. I mean, I think you're being slightly unrealistic when you say Wirtz and Musiala. I don't think Wirtz leaves Leverkusen this summer. I don't think there's any way that happens unless someone whacks down 150 million or something on the table, and Arsenal aren't going to do that. So I don't think Wirtz is possible for Arsenal this summer. Maybe the following year when I think he'll probably will leave Leverkusen. And Musiala, again, I just don't think is realistic right now. I think if he were to leave Bayern Munich, I think as much as I think Arsenal would be in the conversation for Musiala, I don't think that. I still think, to me, he just looks nailed on for a Man City or a Real Madrid for me. But there are certainly other options. I mean, you mentioned Eze there, and Eze could be a fantastic option as left eight for Arsenal, and there are other options as well. So, yeah, I think you're right. I think you've almost changed my thinking with this one comment, Schnitzky, which shows how easily turned I am, I guess. But I'd love to get all your views on it. What is the most important midfield decision for Arsenal this summer? A 6 or an 8? Let me know in the comments below. Okay, we've been talking about Declan Rice and just how good he is and how the fact he can play in multiple positions for Arsenal. And we were talking about how brilliant he is as a number 6. And he showed that last night with his performance yesterday. Look, but Jude Bellingham was a star. Jude Bellingham's got all of the headlines, of course, after England's 1-0 win against Serbia. And rightly so. He was fantastic in the first half. He was everywhere. It was a brilliant performance. He scored the winner. He was brilliant. But Bellingham himself, after the game, was very, very quick to point out the importance of Declan Rice. And I thought he was fantastic, Declan Rice, yesterday as well. England weren't great by any means. I thought Saka was really, really good in the first half. I thought he absolutely had the fullback on toast. He was running at him every single time. Serbia couldn't deal with him. He set up the goal for Bellingham, of course, and he was just a constant threat. I thought England should have moved the ball out wide to Saka quicker because it was very, very clear that he had the beating of his fullback. The second half he tired a little bit, which is understandable. He's not played for a while. He's not started a game for a while. He's had the injury issue. So I was actually surprised he stayed on for 75 minutes. I figured he'd go off at 60 minutes. But Rice was absolutely fantastic. When you look at his touch map yesterday, he was all over the pitch. The amount of times he was there just rescuing England, poking the ball away, turning over possession. I thought he was really, really good. And I thought Bellingham was right to point out the importance of Declan Rice in that team yesterday. And again, just going back to what we were just talking about, if you play Rice in that position, he can absolutely, he's such a good player in that role. And if England go on and win this tournament, then Declan Rice is going to be hugely, hugely important in that. He showed it yesterday. I thought it was a really good start from the two Arsenal players. Obviously, no Aaron Ramsdale, Jordan Pickford starting goal for Arsenal, for England. But the two Arsenal boys I thought played really, really well. I thought England's three best players, two of them are Arsenal, of course, in Saka and Rice, and the other was Bellingham. I thought Mark Gahey played well at centre-back as well. Not the best of performances all round from England. I thought Serbia had a decent second half, obviously grew into the game. Never really threatened. Had that one Vlahovic shot which Pickford tipped over, but it was relatively comfortable win in the end for England. But they're certainly going to have to play a hell of a lot better than that if they are going to go on and win this tournament. But it's all about winning your first game, get it done, move on, grow into the tournament, and England have done that. Big day for Arsenal in terms of involvement today. We've got William Saliba playing for France, and you've got Alexander Zinchenko in their game. Which is the first game of the day, actually, isn't it? I think it's Ukraine versus Romania, and then you've got France versus Austria. You've got Belgium, who I've totally forgotten who Belgium are playing. Let me quickly type it in. Belgian fixtures. Belgium versus Slovakia today. So lots of Arsenal involvement. All accounts, by all accounts, it is William Saliba is going to start, which is great. I think he should absolutely start. The fact that he hasn't yet has just been a complete, well, not that he hasn't yet, but the fact that he's not been a regular in this side sort of baffles me a little bit. But who am I to argue with Didier Deschamps and everything that he's achieved? But yeah, Saliba in action later on today. Trossard as well. Can see Trossard having a really, really strong tournament. To be honest, I've said it before. I think people are Belgium are going slightly under the radar because it's not the golden generation as they're known as, but I think they're going slightly under the radar in this tournament. They've still got a good chance. I think they've still got some decent players. It wouldn't surprise me at all if Trossard pops up some really important goals for them. So good luck to the Arsenal boys today. Looking forward to seeing them in action. Kivior played for Poland yesterday in the game against, it was Slovenia, was it? No, it was Holland, wasn't it? Lost 2-1. He played pretty well, actually, Kivior, in that game. Holland getting a late winner through Weghorst. Benjamin Sesko, by the way. Wow, did you see a couple of his shots in that game for Slovenia yesterday in England's group? Whoa, he's got a strike on him, has Sesko. Interesting to see how he gets on at Leipzig next season. I'm sure we're all going to continue to track his development. Okay, moving on to some of your questions and comments now before we wrap this one up for today. A few more tributes. There were so many of them still pouring in for Kevin Campbell, which again, as I said yesterday, just shows the level of appreciation the Arsenal fan base has to Kevin Campbell. Not just Arsenal, just the footballing world. You know, I said my piece on it yesterday and gave my memories of Kevin, just such a wonderful guy. And all of you have been sending in your comments since then as well. And so there's a few more of them here. Vague57 says, thank you, thank you for the Kevin Campbell tribute. I've never seen such an outpouring of love for any footballer. Obviously an outstanding human and a tragic loss so relatively young. Johnny Pierce says, rest in peace, Kev. One of my heroes growing up, brought me so much joy. Thoughts and prayers with his family and friends. Arsenal legend forever in our hearts. Guna Mick says, such sad news over the weekend, Charles. He felt like a friend. R.I.P. Super Kev. Always in our hearts forever. And James says, it always seems strange having one of our heroes so accessible. Not only a hero, but one of us as well. R.I.P. Super Kevin Campbell. Lovely thoughts there and memories from some of you guys. And like I said, there was plenty more. And if you want to read them, just go back to tomorrow's show, yesterday's show, sorry, and go through the comments and you'll see so many people paying their respects to Kevin Campbell after the devastating news of his death at the weekend. Moving on to some of the reaction from what we were chatting about yesterday with Amadou Onana. We've already talked about Arsenal midfield here. And I was saying yesterday, I like Amadou Onana and I've spoken about it before. I think he's a really talented player. He's got a really strong performance in him, but I do worry about the inconsistency that he has in him as well. You know, one good performance followed by 4 or 5 average performances. If you're going to move to Arsenal, if you're going to compete for the Premier League and the Champions League, you can't do that. You've got to be on it like Declan Rice every single game. You've got to turn up and perform. Bang, 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10. Every single game. You can't afford really to be having a 5 out of 10. And I was saying, if Arsenal do make the move for Onana, I feel like you've got to sign another midfielder as well, probably to cover for that inconsistency. And some of you guys have been reacting to it. Sengat says, I'm pretty sure that Onana wouldn't be the only midfielder we sign this summer if we sign him. Seems more like one of those market opportunities. We might use the Sesko money on him and then go for another midfielder and a winger. The rest will be dependent on outgoings. Deej says, Onana is a floor raiser, and I think that's what the squad lacks. Assume Partey leaves. Wouldn't assume that yet, I have to say. Another CM to come in and get the result, or start in a game where you need more physicality. I think Jorginho is more likely to be the person playing 30 minutes to see out a game. Ogun says Onana plus Fofana. Obviously, Fofana seems like he is going to be on the market this summer. Well, he is on the market this summer from Monaco, has been linked with Arsenal. So Ogun believes both of those two players should arrive. And Tom says Onana would be great to mould into our future long-standing number 6 to replace Partey. However, maybe another profile too, more like Jorginho, might be necessary to have that option. Zubamendi being the obvious choice. So lots of reaction there to Onana. Some good points raised as always. Yeah, it's an interesting one. It's the midfield's so I've talked about it before, and I was chatting down the pub about it yesterday watching the England game. I was just saying that midfield, of all the things Arsenal are going to do this summer, what they do in the midfield is the thing that really intrigues me the most, because I think that's where you immediately change the team going into the new season. You improve the team by what you do in the with the midfield in the transfer market this summer, and how Arsenal approach it, who they bring in, who they target, how they look to strengthen that area. I think it's the most important thing for Arsenal going into this window, and it's going to be really interesting to see how they do it. Here's just one from Ashwan Gordon 89. He says, "Hi CW, hope all is well." Well, thank you very much. He said, "Since we need backup defender, what do you think about getting Rafael Varane on a free?" It was always great content, as always. Thank you, Ashwan from Cape Town in South Africa, where a couple of my shirts will be heading in the next week or so. What do I think about Rafael Varane on a free? No, not for me. Obviously, great player in his day, great player when he's fit still, but just not fit very often. Certainly had a real injury ravaged campaign with Manchester United. I don't think Arsenal need that type of player when they're coming to bringing in another defender, if they bring in another defender this summer. And I think if they do, it'll be more of the left-sided sort of option than Varane, to be honest. And no, I just think the injuries, bit of a red flag for me, his age as well, and his wages, certainly. So as good as he's been, certainly during his time at Real Madrid, no, not for me. I'd be passing on that and going for a much sort of younger, more suitable option for Arsenal than Rafael Varane. But thank you very much for getting in touch with your question. And that is it from me for today, everyone. Thank you very much for watching and for listening. As always, I do appreciate it. Have a fantastic start to your week. Like I said at the start, to all the 10 lucky shirt winners, congratulations. I shall be ordering them all now. Then they're all going to be coming to me. And then I've got to obviously get them over to you wherever you are around the world. So be a bit patient. If they don't arrive very quickly, I am on it and I will get them sent out to you. So congratulations again. Thanks for watching, everyone. Speak to you very, very soon. Goodbye.